So it is the final week of PFL regular season action. In the main event, we have got Kayla Harrison taking on, Kaitlin Young. Yes, Kayla Harrison versus Kaitlin Young. Now, in all seriousness, Kaitlin Young stepping in on short notice for Julia Budd. Budd got injured. The original main event was supposed to be Budd versus Harrison. Now we're getting PFL vet and a fighter who holds a win over Miesha Tate in Kaitlin Young, and who has fought Gina Carano back in 2008. But that's besides the point. I mean, I wonder who's going to win. Yeah, okay. So we have got the women's lightweights and the 170-pounders this Friday from Atlanta, Georgia, PFL number 6. And folks, if you haven't yet, make sure that subscribe button down below for some more MMA here on the channel. We posted our UFC Adesanya versus Cannonier predictions yesterday, so go make sure that subscribe button down below for more MMA here on the channel. Okay, so we kick off the card here with Elena Kolesnyk taking on Vanessa Melo. If Kolesnyk wins, she's in the playoffs, and she's got a career record of 6-4. She's taking on the UFC vet, of course, in Vanessa Melo. So Melo comes in the PFL off a win over Sarah Morris, and then she takes on Martina Jindrova in her first fight. She loses it by unanimous decision. Melo just looks slow in that fight. Jindrova beat her to the punch every single time. And then for Elena Kolesnyk, her last fight, well, actually, she was on a 4-fight losing streak heading into her fight against Abby Montes. Abby Montes lost the fight by split decision, and Kolesnyk just kind of, threw wild shots in that fight. It was a better fight than I thought it was going to be. Kolesnyk wins it by split decision. Thought Montes should have got the nod, but anyways, Kolesnyk wins it. It was her first win in, 5 years. To that point in time, she had not won a fight against a winner with a winning record, or against a fighter with a winning record. Her only win over a fighter with a win previous to that fight against Abby Montes was all the way back in 2014, where she beat a fighter who at the time was 1-4. But yeah, Kolesnyk, drops 4 straight fights. She loses to Pam Sorensen, Felicia Spencer, Taylor Gordano, and Larissa Pacheco, and now she beats Montes by split decision. I think she'll beat Vanessa Melo. I think Melo's just really slow at this point in her career, especially at 155. Kolesnyk should be able to outstrike her. Kolesnyk does throw wild, but I don't think Vanessa Melo is going to make her pay to the point where she's going to be hurting her on the feet, where Kolesnyk's not going to want to keep going back to that well and flinging out random shots. So I think this approach from Kolesnyk should be enough for her to pick up the win. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Elena Kolesnyk is going to go to the PFL playoffs. I think she's going to pick up her second straight win in the smart cage. I think she'll beat Vanessa Melo by decision on the feet. Martina Jindrova versus Zhamagul Fayzallanova. Yeah, okay, here you go. I think Zhamagul is the worst fighter the PFL's got on this 155 roster. I just don't think she's good at all. Truly, I think she's really bad. And Jindrova isn't the greatest, but she's better than Zhamagul, definitely. Jindrova, you look at her win over Vanessa Melo, it was pretty dominant. It was a pretty unanimous victory for Jindrova, and then before that, she won the PFL Challenger Series, winning a fight by split decision to punch her opportunity into the PFL regular season. Just honestly, on the feet, she's better than Zhamagul. So apparently, Zhamagul is supposed to be some hard puncher who can, go for the knockout. But when you watch her fight against Larissa Pacheco, she looks horrible in the Larissa Pacheco fight. I don't know where they found Zhamagul, I'll keep it a buck with you, but look at the shots she's throwing against Larissa Pacheco. I know Larissa Pacheco throws very hard, and honestly throws harder than anyone else they've got at 155, but my goodness, Zhamagul eats one and just kind of fades. She throws that weird Alain Badeau, what Badeau is doing is Josh Parisian a couple nights ago, where he's just throwing that weird hammer fist. She throws that a couple times just from standing, and it's not connecting. I don't think she's very good. I'll keep it a buck with you. I think Jindrova might be able to finish her. Now, I'm not going to bank on, one of these lower level lightweights getting a finish here in the PFL, but it wouldn't surprise me if Jindrova actually did finish her, because I just don't think Zhamagul is good at all. I think she's really bad. I'll go safe pick Jindrova by decision, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if she won by TKO finish. But I think she'll win it by decision, getting 3 points more in the standings. So her and Kolesnyk will both have 6 points, both securing their spots in the PFL playoffs. Marina Mokhnatkina taking on Abby Montes here. And for Mokhnatkina, her last fight, main event spot against Kayla Harrison, she did a lot better than what a lot of people thought she was going to give in that fight. Really, Mokhnatkina impressed me in that fight against Kayla Harrison. I thought Harrison was going to go in there and submit her in the first round. Didn't go that way. Kayla got Marina down multiple times in that fight, but she was just not able to put the submission in and eventually finish her. So Mokhnatkina did impress me with that facet of her game, and she's taken on Abby Montes in this fight. And Montes just tasted defeat for the first time in her career with her last fight against Elena Kolesnyk, and now she has a win over Clarissa Shields, but a loss to Elena Kolesnyk. Figures, right? But yeah, Montes in that fight didn't do horribly. You could give the nod to her in that fight against Kolesnyk. It was a really competitive fight on the feet. Montes the boxer, and she'll be taking on Marina Mokhnatkina on this one. Mokhnatkina, I think, should have an advantage on the ground, though. Montes really hasn't been tested on the ground yet in her career. Again, she's fought Clarissa Shields, she's fought Elena Kolesnyk, and then she fought an icon once in Combate. Montes is a fighter who I think should be fighting 45. She's up at 55 because PFL doesn't have a 45 or a 35. She's only 22 years old, which is impressive too, because she's already fighting up that big level that PFL is. But yeah, she's her first 2 fights, first at bantamweight in 2019, then a featherweight fight in 2021. Now she's forced to fight 55s at the PFL level. So she's a fighter that is really just, she's undersized here at 55. But Marina Mokhnatkina, again, like most fighters that PFL's got, are fighters who shouldn't really be fighting 55. They should be fighting 45 or even 35. But again, PFL's the only opportunity they've got, so they have to fight at this weight class, because Marina Mokhnatkina is a fighter that lost to Janae Harding back in Bellator in 2019 at featherweight. She fought at Fight Nights Global for the Bantamweight Championship back in 2018. But anyways, I think Mokhnatkina's got the advantage on the ground. That's where she's going to be able to take this fight, and I think she should be able to ground Abby Montes and ride this one out to a decision victory. So Mokhnatkina picks up 3 points. Unfortunately, no playoffs for her because she ran to Kayla Harrison in her first fight, but a good victory for Marina Mokhnatkina by decision. Next up, we've got Nikolai Aleksakhin taking on Glebson Tibau, and for Tibau, man was robbed in his last fight. He won that one. I mean, they gave him the loss by split decision. I mean, I guess it was making up for his win over Rory MacDonald, but my goodness, I didn't think he lost his last fight. I thought he got the win. But now Glebson Tibau's taking out Aleksakhin in this one. Tibau's been a guy who's been fighting for a while now, made his professional MMA debut back in 1999. The guy's been fighting for a while. He's 38 years old, and you know what Tibau's going to bring to the table in this fight. He's going to try to take this fight to the ground against Aleksakhin, and Aleksakhin's a guy who's probably going to want to keep this one standing, even though he does have some solid jiu-jitsu of his own. But Aleksakhin's on a 2-fight losing streak, dropping his last two to Sabadou C and then Ray Cooper III. And of course, he had the Sabadou C fight before the Ray Cooper fight, the fight he was losing. That's what really, tempted me to take Sabadou C in their rematch earlier this year. And given the scorecards are kind of weird on that one, I thought C barely edged it out, and he did get the victory. So Aleksakhin now in a 3-fight winless streak. He's taking on Glebson Tibau on this one. And honestly, I think Glebson Tibau should be able to win this fight. I mean, I really think Tibau should be able to go in here. I think he should be able to ground Aleksakhin and just grind out a victory in this. Because say what you want about Tibau, technically he does have a win over Rory MacDonald. He is 2-2 in the PFL. The other loss is to Zeferino in his first fight with the PFL in 2021. But I think Tibau's just better than Aleksakhin. Aleksakhin has not looked great in his last couple of fights. He got outstruck by Sabadou C, and C really, used reach advantage to his advantage in that fight where he did take on Aleksakhin. And really, I mean, Aleksakhin, he should be 1-3 in the PFL, because I thought he was on his way to losing the Sabadou C fight the first time around. They lost to Ray Cooper, lost to C, and then his only win is Jesse Ronson. I mean, come on. I'm taking Glebson Tibau on this one. I think he should be able to take this fight on the mat. I think he should be able to keep Aleksakhin down. I don't think that Tibau's going to be able to get a finish, so I don't think he's going to be in the playoffs, but I'm going to give Glebson Tibau 3 points. And with actually how confusing 170 is for the PFL, maybe he can push himself in the playoffs. We'll see the final standings at the end of it, but I'm going to go with Glebson Tibau to beat Nikolai Aleksakhin by unanimous decision. So Jenna Fabian needs a finish in this fight to make the playoffs, so obviously that's not going to happen. So she's probably not making the playoffs this time around. Because of her last fight, she missed weight. In the PFL, you know how much they hate missing weight over there. She missed weight by 2 pounds, actually no, 5.5 pounds against Julia Budd. She won the fight by unanimous decision, but the way the PFL works, Julia Budd gets her 3 points, and then Jenna Fabian gets negative points. So she's at -1 right now, and the same can be said about Ray Cooper when we talk about him later in the card. But now she's going to be taking on Larissa Pacheco, and Larissa Pacheco is the best fighter PFL's got at 155, not named Kayla Harrison. She's got power, man. Larissa Pacheco's got power that some fighters just can't deal with over here at the PFL. Really, I mean, look at the way she beats Kolesnyk in her last 2 fights ago, and the way she just destroys Zamagul. She's way better than the competition here. I know she's already lost twice to Kayla Harrison, and we're going to see her probably again against Kayla Harrison, I would anticipate, in the championship fight of this season. But she's just levels ahead of everyone else here. Like, truly, she is levels ahead. The way she just goes through fighters, she's got power that is unheard of at this weight class, especially with the fighters that they currently have. I think she's going to go in there. I think she's going to melt Jenna Fabian. But the thing about this, though, that is interesting is that Larissa Pacheco's generally bigger than her opponents. Just because, just with a strength advantage, she's just so much... I wouldn't say Larissa Pacheco is a natural lightweight, because she fought in the UFC on The Ultimate Fighter at 145. She lost to Macy Chasson when she got finished, and she fought before that in the UFC too at 135. Hell, she lost to Jessica Andrade and Drain Durandamy. But Pacheco's kind of bulked up to 155, and now she's taking on a fighter unlike Kolesnyk and Jean Mogul, fighters who could probably fight 45, maybe even 35. She's taking on a true lightweight in Jenna Fabian, which I think that makes this fight a whole lot more interesting. Now, I'm still going to take Pacheco to win this fight by TKO in the second round, but it will be interesting to see her against, Fabian, who's 6 feet tall, who's a true lightweight, and we'll see something out of Jenna Fabian, because Fabian is not going to make the playoffs this year, but we're going to truly see if she's able to take a punch from Larissa Pacheco, and if she can really, establish herself as one of the better 155-pounders that PFL has got. Because say what you want, she has a win over Julia Budd, and Budd I know is not very good at this point in her career, but still she's beat Julia Budd. She lost to Kayla Harrison in the first round last year in the playoffs, but still, we'll see if she's able to take a punch from Melissa Pacheco. I think she'll be able to get out of the first round, but I think Pacheco will slowly take over. I think she'll win it late in the second round by TKO. Now we've got Gerard Al-Silawi taking on Magomed Umalatov, and for Umalatov, coming into the PFL season now after 2 straight victories last year in the PFL, 2 showcase bouts, he went and he beat Karen Bowen. He dominated him in the first round. He was, piecing him up, and then he took him down. He was really working his ground and pound against Bowen. And eventually in the second round, as soon as the second round started, big overhand right. As soon as he hit Bowen, referee stopped the fight. And then he got another fight against Leandro Silva. His second fight in the PFL is in the 7th episode of the 2021 season. He beats him by unanimous decision. Now, Silva's a boxer, and Umalatov beats him, but it wasn't the fight that I thought he was going to have against Silva. I thought he was going to put him down and knock him out. Silva stays in the fight, and Umalatov took a little bit more of a measured approach in that fight against Silva. Now, he won the fight by unanimous decision, but I would be a lot higher on him if he was able to go in there and finish Silva, a guy who had been, who had lost 10 times to that point against Umalatov. He's taking on Gerard Al-Silawi in this one, and Silawi, I thought, lost to Gleibson Tibau. He came into the PFL by winning on the Challenger Series. He's a minus 600 favorite against Michael Lilly, the guy he was fighting. He did what he had to do against him. He beat him by first round knockout. And again, he technically beat Tibau, and I didn't think he was, should have got the nod. But Al-Silawi and Umalatov, it's a good fight. I think you're going to see a stand-up fight. Umalatov does a lot of different strikes in the feet. Like you saw the Karen Bowen fight, even the Leandro Silva fight. He's not connecting on all the strikes he's throwing, but he's offering Silva a lot of different looks in that fight, which does make me want to pick Umalatov, and I'm going to, considering I don't think Silawi won his first fight, and also I think Umalatov should be able to go in here. I think he should be able to piece up Al-Silawi, and if he has to, I think he's able to mix it up with the wrestling and take down Al-Silawi when he needs to do that as well. So I'm going to take Magomed Umalatov to win this fight. I don't think he's going to get a finish. I think there's a definite chance he might be able to, because he does throw hard, and the accumulation of damage he will put on opponents if he does decide to take him to the mat is impressive. I can't bank on the finish when considering Al-Silawi is a guy who's never been finished except for his second fight in MMA back in 2014. So I'm going to take Umalatov to win this one by decision, giving him 3 points in the PFL standings. Again, there's a big logjam after Rory MacDonald in first place with 3 points, but Umalatov will be another guy with 3 points. I got him by decision. Magomedkerimov taking on Joao Zeferino is the fight that we thought we were going to get a couple months ago. Of course, Magomedkerimov had to pull out due to visa issues, so here you go. Zeferino instead took on Delano Taylor, lost by split decision, and now Delano Taylor has 3 points and is currently in 3rd place in the PFL standings, but he's not going to be fighting because he doesn't get another chance. And same with Carlos Leal as well. So here comes Zeferino versus Magomedkerimov. I believe I took Magomedkerimov in the original fight. Yeah, I definitely did. Just because Magomedkerimov's probably better than Joao Zeferino. Now, his last fight lost to Ray Cooper III, but that was a grueling fight. It was a tough fight for the PFL Championship last year. But up to that point in time, Magomedkerimov was running right through all of his opponents. Hell, he beat Ray Cooper III the first time around 2018 for the championship. He dominated against Chris Curtis twice in a row, beat him in 2019 the first time around, then got him in the playoffs again, beat him by unanimous decision. Of course, he couldn't fight Ray Cooper III later that night, so Ray Cooper III instead beat Chris Curtis and knocked him out. But anyways, Magomedkerimov then fights Chris Millender. He wins in 2021 and beats Sabadou C, and then he runs into Ray Cooper and he gets knocked down in the 3rd. Magomedkerimov is really good. He's truly very good. I think he should be able to beat Zeferino in this fight. I think he should be able to take him down, but the thing is, I don't think he's going to be able to get a finish against Zeferino. Zeferino's got really good jiu-jitsu. He's good off his back, which I think is going to make it tough for Magomedkerimov to pick up a finish in this fight. On the feet, I think Magomedkerimov's better as well, so I think he's going to win, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get the finish that he needs to get in the playoffs, and that's what gets tricky in this fight, and that's why Magomedkerimov would benefit a lot from having that first fight against Zeferino, where I think he was going to win by decision. If he won that first fight by decision against Zeferino, then you're looking at his next fight, of course, and then, of course, he can add on to his points total. But now, I think he's only going to get 3 points. I think he's going to be stuck in again that logjam with everyone that's got 3 points, but we'll add him on to it. I think Magomedkerimov wins by decision, but I don't think it's going to be enough to push him back in the playoffs. So I think we're going to be looking at a 170 pounds playoff for the PFL without the former champion in Magomedkerimov, but I think he will beat Zeferino by decision in this fight. I say this every time a fight like this is booked for the PFL. The PFL knows what they're doing. It's Ray Cooper III versus Brett Cooper. They know what they're doing. They want Ray Cooper III in the playoffs. And he missed weight his first time out. He's, due to the PFL rule system, he's not able to pick up points. And he lost that fight to Carlos Leal. I think he was unmotivated going in that Leal fight because he couldn't pick up points no matter what. And he lost it by unanimous decision. But now they're giving him a second opportunity. He's fighting probably the worst guy they've got at 170 in Brett Cooper. And as long as he's able to go and just beat up on a guy who's had how many pro fights? The guy's had 54 pro fights, 44 math. I don't know. He's had a lot of fights. This guy's been fighting for a while. if he's just able to pick the bones here, he should be able to knock out Brett Cooper in the first round, advance to the playoffs. Like, Cooper's been around for a minute. He comes in the PFL last year, beats Tyler Hill his first fight. Cool, he wins, and then they book him in the 2022 regular season. He loses to Rory MacDonald in the first round by submission. Rory MacDonald showed what you can do to Brett Cooper on the ground, and now Ray Cooper III is going to show what you can do to Brett Cooper on the feet. Ray Cooper throws hard. Like, say what you want, he lost the last fight to Leal. Sure, he lost, okay? It's going to happen. You lost to Carlos Leal, but he's going to bounce back in this fight. He should be able to knock out Brett Cooper as long as he's able to just... For Ray Cooper III to make the playoffs, he needs to get a finish in the first or second rounds. I think he's going to be able to do so. He's already got -1 points, but that's fine as long as he can get a finish. Unlike what a lot of these guys are getting right now, he'll have more points than everyone else who won by decision. So, it pays to get finishes in the PFL. Ray Cooper III is going to show that. The PFL matched him up against the easiest guy he could knock out in Brett Cooper, the guy, again, who has had 1 million pro fights, who's been fighting since, 2004. Ray Cooper III is going to win. He's going to knock him out. He's going to find the big overhand right. He's going to put him down the first round. So Ray Cooper III is going to advance to the playoffs. He'll have 5 points. There you go. Welcome back to the playoffs. Your PFL welterweight champion. And now this is a good one. In your co-main event, we have got Rory MacDonald taking on Sabah C. Now, to this point, Rory MacDonald's already clinched a playoff spot. I mean, it pays to get the quick 6. He's got 6 points. He's in the playoffs no matter what. He's in the Anthony Pettis position basically last week. It's where, Pettis losing to Stevie Ray, really? But it happened, okay? He's still the #1 seed, so they're going to fight again in a couple weeks, or a couple months. But anyways, right? Rory MacDonald's already in that spot. He's clinched the 1 seed. He will be the #1 seed in the PFL playoffs no matter what. And this fight's basically, can Sabah C push himself to playoffs? Because if he loses, he's likely out. So it's Sabah C taking on Rory MacDonald here. On the feet, I like seeing this fight. I mean, again, Sabah C keeps on looking better and better. You look at his fights when he beats Nikolai in his last one, beats him by split decision, he looks good. Again, say what you want about the scorecards, but Sabah C keeps on getting better and better. The guy's had close fights. He's had, had a draw with Ray Cooper III. He goes the distance with Magomedkerimov. The guy's a solid fighter. It's just a matter of, can Rory MacDonald get him to the mat, and can Rory MacDonald finish him down there, or can Rory just hold him down? Which I think, I think he probably should be able to do. We'll just see. Because on the feet, I do like Sabah C. If this is a pure striking fight, I think Sabah C is able to outstrike the Red King in this fight. I'll say it. I think Swedish Denzel Washington is able to outstrike Rory MacDonald. He's big for a welterweight. He's 6'3". He's got an 80-inch reach. He'll have a 4-inch reach advantage against Rory MacDonald in this fight. But it's just all a matter of, can Sabah C step the takedowns of TriStar's own Rory MacDonald? That's the big question in this fight. I don't know if he's going to be able to, because it's a kickboxer versus a wrestler in this fight. Rory MacDonald, as his career has evolved, has turned more and more of a wrestler. And you look at how he finishes Curtis Millender in the first round. He finishes Brett Cooper in the first round. If he's able to take down Sabah C and hold him down, he's going to win the fight. It's all a matter of, can C keep this fight standing, and can he just at least make it competitive on the feet where, PFL judges, who knows if he can pick up the win or not. I'm going to side with Rory MacDonald, though, picking up the win. I don't think C's takedown defense can hold up for 15 minutes against a guy who's been there and done that in Rory MacDonald. I don't think MacDonald's going to get a finish in this fight, contrary to some belief. I think MacDonald will go the distance against Sabah C, and I think he's going to win it by decision. So I think Rory's going to pick up 3 points. He's already clinched the 1 seed going into this fight. We'll see how motivated he is, but I think he'll be motivated to pick up the double paycheck and win and get that winner's bonus. So I think MacDonald slides into first place. He'll still stay in first place. He'll have 9 points. He'll be the #1 seed at 170. Your 2 seed will be Ray Cooper III. Ray Cooper with his knockout will get 4 points because he'll get 5 points because he'll pick up 6, but on to the -1, so he'll have 5 points. He'll be in second place, and it's just a matter of what the hell the PFL does after this, because you got Carlos Leal and Delano Taylor, 2 fighters who did not get the opportunity to fight again in the PFL season, but they're both there at 3 points. They're both 1-0. I will make the case that both those guys should be in the playoffs. So this is the way I would do it. I would have let Carlos Leal and Delano Taylor get another shot. I would let them fight this regular season. Hell, have them fight each other then. If you really want to have it that way, have them fight each other. Winners in, losers out. Anyways, I think MacDonald's the 1 seed, Ray Cooper's the 2 seed, Leal's the 3 seed, and Delano Taylor's the 4 seed. So it's Delano Taylor versus Rory MacDonald, and then you get the rematch with Ray Cooper III and Carlos Leal. Maybe Ray Cooper's actually motivated this time around, or maybe Leal's just got his number. How I think the PFL will do it, though, this is how I think they'll do it. I think Magomedkerimov's going to get in because he only had 1 fight, so it'll probably be MacDonald. The PFL, and this is how I think they're going to do it. MacDonald 1, Ray Cooper III 2. They want money, so they're going to do Cooper and Magomedkerimov for the 3rd time. Okay, so that's going to be the 3 seed, or Magomedkerimov's going to be the 3 seed, and it's letting in the 4 seed. I mean, if they can just control who's, because everyone's tied, then I think, and again, this is how PFL wants things, if Leipzig Tibau is able to win, they'll probably put Tibau in. They'll probably do Tibau MacDonald again because that's a money fight. Well, I guess a money fight. That's a rematch from last year's fight where MacDonald should have won, but he didn't get the scorecard. So, again, I would have it MacDonald 1, Cooper 2, Leal 3, Taylor 4, but the way the PFL is functioning, I think it'll be MacDonald 1, Cooper 3, Magomedkerimov, Cooper 2, Magomedkerimov 3, and then Glebes and Tibau 4, just because they can try to get the biggest names in and the biggest names in possible to the playoffs. But again, that's how PFL functions. You don't know how they're going to work. But again, going back to this individual fight, we got Rory MacDonald moving on to the playoffs with the unanimous decision victory over Sabadusi. Okay, main event. I mean, it's Kayla Harrison versus Kaitlin Young. Harrison's going to win. There. Kayla Harrison will win by first round submission. Now, when you look at her opponent, Kaitlin Young, in this fight, you know, Young lost back-to-back fights. She lost to Marina Moraes, and then she lost to Julia Budd twice in the 2021 season. But, you know, she beat Cindy Dandois. Cindy Dandois looks horrible at this point in her career, but she did pull up the big upset win, beating Cindy Dandois in the first regular season fight of 2021. Kayla Young's been around for a while. She's fought some good fighters, don't get me wrong. She lost to Lauren Murphy. She lost to Leslie Smith. She lost to Liz Carmouche. She lost to Gina Carano. She beat Misha Tate all the way back in 2007. Okay, but it's just not Kaitlin Young's time anymore. I mean, she made her pro debut again back in 2007. She's 36 years old. She's 12-1 for a reason. Come on. Come on now. Kayla Harrison's going to go in there. She's going to submit her in the first round. It's going to be dominant. Kayla Harrison's going to take her down armbar, I would say, less than a minute. No, I'll give her 90 seconds. Kayla Harrison wins. 90 seconds, first round submission. There you have it. Kayla Harrison is going to win. I think the more important part of this fight and the more intriguing part of this fight is how the playoffs do turn out. So Kayla will have 3 + 6. She'll have 9 points. I think Larissa Pacheco, though, is going to get a finish to Jenna Fabian, so I think she'll have 11 points. So Larissa Pacheco, for the second straight year in a row, will be the 1 seed. Now, hopefully she can make weight in the playoffs, but she'll be the 1 seed with 11 points. Second will be Kayla Harrison with 9 points, and then 3 and 4 remain exactly the same. Martina Jindrova has 6 points. Elena Kolesnyk has 6 points. There you go. It will be Pacheco 1, Harrison 2, Jindrova 3, and Kolesnyk 4. You're going to have 4 undefeated fighters this season for the PFL in the playoffs, given 1 and 2 are a whole lot better than 3 and 4, and 2 is a whole lot better than number 1. But that's how they're going to have it for the 55-pound playoffs. I think you're going to have Pacheco versus Kolesnyk, mismatch, and Harrison versus Jindrova, mismatch. Now, I think Jindrova is a whole lot better than Kolesnyk, and I think Kolesnyk's basically just in the playoffs because of her schedule. So I think Kolesnyk really benefited by having that really weak schedule going to the playoffs. And there's a definite chance, by the way, she loses to Vanessa Melo, and then Melo would be in the spot and not her. So if that happens, then we will probably get Vanessa Melo versus Larissa Pacheco, probably the same exact outcome of that fight. But you know, I mean, that's what I think happens. And then Kolesnyk gets in, Jindrova gets in, Harrison, of course, Pacheco both get in as well. But yeah, Kayla Harrison's not going to have any problems with Kaitlin Young. Now, if she loses, I think there's a chance that she could be on the outs and not make the playoffs, but she's not losing. Kayla Harrison's going to win this fight. Again, she'll come in there, she'll take down Kaitlin Young pretty easily. She'll do it with ease. She'll submit her in the first round. No doubt about it. So Kayla Harrison moves on to the playoffs, securing the number 2 seed for the 2nd straight year in a row. So folks, thank y'all for watching our PFL regular season number 6 predictions video here on the channel. If you haven't yet, though, make sure that subscribe button is down below for more. We'll be back with the PFL playoffs coming at you from Madison Square Garden in August, and the week after back in Wales, and the week after that in London. We'll be back in August again for the PFL playoffs and the championship fights in November as well. And of course, be on the lookout for UFC and Bellator coming every other week as well. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.